Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Sorry for the uploads coming like once a week. I'm really trying to get like 2 out a week. So I'm going to be trying to do that in the future very soon for you guys. But first off the bat, I gotta say thank you so much. We hit 130 subs. This is great. I'm definitely getting good growth and good feedback from you guys, and I really appreciate it. And also I gotta say, follow me on Instagram. I'm pretty active on there recently. Yeah, if you buy any cards on there and you DM me, pretty much I will, like, if you send me a picture of any of the cards that you have or anything like that, or your collection, I would love to post that on my Instagram and shout you out, because I really do appreciate it. um, but that is not what today's video is about. I decided to mix it up a little bit today. I could have just done another, showing off every card in a specific faction video, but this time I decided, I was playing with this deck for a little bit now, and I wanted to show it to you guys. I don't really have a name for it yet, but I kind of just came to me. I'm going to call it the Drunken Dwarf. I basically broke this 45 card deck down into like 6 different sections here. So I'm going to basically tell you about each section and what it does. And this deck does contain the Dwarf faction and the Pirate faction, so let's get into it. So the first little section of this deck here contains this card, which is why I call it the Drunken Dwarf. It is Solo Drunken Sailor. This is a very good card for the fact that it costs 1, 2 attack, 1 defense, so it's pretty strong for a 1 cost anyway. Its downside is it says when this creature is played onto the battlefield, you lose 2 health, but it's made up for by the fact that it is untapped, so that means it comes out ready to attack or block. And essentially, if you get 4 of these out in the beginning of the game, I know it's rare, but even 2 or 3, you could do some extreme damage to your opponent quickly, and they really won't have an answer for it unless they are spitting out 1 attack, 1 defense creatures to just block it. Forgot to mention that this category was actually speed. Probably should have said that. But this guy also fits under that category, Passive Ship Boy. Cost 2, 1 attack, 2 defense, and he's also untapped. And we're also rocking 4 copies of him as well. Just very good for if you need to attack around a creature, or just get quick damage in that turn. Very important. Our next category is pretty small, but it is gaining health. So Pioneer, cost 1, 1 attack, 1 defense, very basic creature, but says when casted, draw a card. Now you're thinking, how is that going to gain you a health? Well, we're running 4 copies of it as well, or 3 copies, I'm sorry. And this is how. Precious Gems, cost 3, permanent ability card. Every time you draw a card, you gain 1 health. So basically, every time you draw a card with these guys, you're going to gain 1 health with Precious Gems on the battlefield. The third section in this deck, pretty much, is gaining resources. Now, this is actually a very important part of the deck, and it's going to bleed into the next part. But basically, all these cards that I have here are going to be adding Chaos Crystals and/or cards to your possession so that you can play more things. This guy right here, Grateful Scallywag, when casted, roll a 6-sided die. If it lands on an even number, add 1 Chaos Crystal to your stash. Essentially, if you play him for 3, roll a die, you get lucky, and you get 1 crystal back. You really just played him for 2, which is a steal, and you get to play something worth 1 that turn, or keep it for as long as you want. And we're going to run 3 copies of him because he's an uncommon. So, very good card there. The next card we're going to run is Coin Hungry Buccaneer. We're going to run 2 copies, cost 2, 2 attack, 2 defense. This one's pretty situational, that's why we're only running 2, but it can still be very useful. When casted, if this is the only creature on your battlefield, add 1 Chaos Crystal to your stash. So essentially, if you play him and he's the only dude on your battlefield at the time, you get to gain a crystal back. So you really play a 2 attack, 2 defense for 1, which is very good value. So that's very good. And lastly, one of the most important creatures in this deck, honestly, probably the second most important, I would say, to playing quickly here. Mystic Dwarf. Cost 1, 2 attack, 1 defense. But his abilities really the thing that shines through for him, even though he's pretty good stats for what he is. And it says, you may sacrifice this creature to help pay 1 towards another creature during any one of your turns this card is active. Now that sounds like a little bit of like a word jumble there, but essentially what it is when you play it, it will stay on the battlefield just as a regular creature, can attack or block, But on any of your turns, you can actually sacrifice him, and he counts as one Chaos Crystal to a creature that you cast that turn. The next section is the big boys. Essentially, these are the big creatures in the deck. So we're going to run 2 copies of Elite Swashbuckler. Costs 6 attack, 6 defense. Every time a pirate faction creature dies while this creature's on the battlefield, draw a card and gain 2 health. Can't go wrong with that. If you're playing a lot of pirates, you're not really drawing too many dwarves from your deck. You can just honestly switch this deck into a pirate deck and just ignore your dwarves if you really want to. And you can gain health and draw cards every time they die. So the next big card is Magni Bronzebeard, running 2 copies of him. 6 attack, 8 defense, massive creature, biggest in the game, costs 7. And that's why we need that Mystic Dwarf right here, because he costs so much, but if we already have creatures out that can cost play him, we're golden there, so we can play him a little bit early. When casted, target creature worth 1 is banished if possible. So you got to be careful that you play this and you don't have any creatures worth 1, because you'll have to banish them if your opponent has none. If your opponent does have one, obviously you can choose which one to banish, but if you're the only one with one of them's going to get banished, so you got to be careful with that. But otherwise, he is a tank. Next is Grundy the Warrior, costs 7 attack, 7 defense, huge. He has Obstruct, meaning if you hit him for 10 damage somehow, the extra 3 damage would not bleed through like usual. It would actually just disintegrate into nothing. And he says, when casted, put a +1 attack, +1 defense counter on target creature, and it cannot be him. So you also have to be a little bit careful with playing him, because if you have no other creatures except him, you're going to have to put a +1/+1 on an opponent's creature. Unless they control none, then I guess you don't have to do anything. Definitely the most important card in the deck is Dwarf Boar Warrior. Now this guy is actually super underrated, and when I was making this deck, I was reading him and I was like, wait a minute, how did I even make this card? It's not super overpowered, but it can for sure take over a game if your opponent does not get rid of it quick. Basically, it costs 5, 6 attack, 4 defense, which is pretty standard there, but it's pretty good. We're going to run 4 copies of it as well because it's common, so that's also awesome. But it has Idle, which is very important, meaning it cannot be affected by ability cards whatsoever, and it also has Obstruct, so it cannot let damage through to the caster either. So it's pretty much a huge tank that you can't kill through the air with abilities, and if you kill it on the ground, it's not going to let anything hit the caster that played it. So it's pretty good, and if you somehow manage to keep him alive throughout the game, it's going to be swinging for 6 every turn, so that is no joke, a very good creature, especially if you can get it out with Mystic Dwarf quick. This next section is just some cards to help out the deck be a little bit more consistent. Here we are running Drunken Slumber, put a -3 attack, -0 defense counter on target creature this turn. Very good, especially because it costs 1. Goes with the drunken theme as well, so that's funny. But it's actually a very good card, and we're going to run 3 of it here. We're just going to run 1 copy of Cannon Operator, because I actually don't have many copies of him, but he's a pretty good card. 4 attack, 2 defense, when casted, all opposing casters discard a card. We're going to run 3 Forbidden Spells, which target ability card has no effect and is destroyed. It's a good just counter to any spell. I would definitely recommend running these in your deck. You can run up to 4. We're going to run 2 copies of Hard Look. What this essentially does is you look at your opponent's hand, place 1 card of your choice on the top of their graveyard, and that could definitely ruin some people's games, as you could take their Bloodthirsties or their leader and throw it away. Last but not least in this category, we have Mighty Captain. 5 attack, 4 defense for 4, no ability, so it's not the greatest creature you could have, but especially helps out with consistency, because you're going to be at least probably getting one of these a game with 4 copies, and they're good value for what they are. And last but not least, we have King Grundy. He's the leader we chose for this deck. We could have chose Captain Blackbeard, which I think I have him over here. There he is, in all his glory. But we decided to go with King Grundy. Better fit for this deck and how we want to play, because you can tap him to either draw a card, which could help with the gaining health and pirate aspect of the deck, or you can tap him to give a creature +2 defense for this turn, which would actually help you keep alive your Mystic Dwarves early or any other card, honestly, that could get picked off early. And you can give target creature the Enraged skill through this guy, which is a huge ability. He does cost 7 crystals or 12 health though, so he's not a cheap dude to play. He's pretty massive, but if you get him out and you keep him alive, he can definitely affect your game positively. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. I really appreciate you guys watching this far in. If you guys did notice, I do have a new playmat that is actually Dead Man's Wish as the art there. I love this playmat, so I'm probably going to be using this almost every other video now. Just mix it up a little bit. Again, follow me on Instagram and go in the first link in my description. And the Game Crafter's on there because I am selling these packs, guys. So I'm selling booster packs, starter decks, and resource packs. Set 2 is coming very soon as well. It's going to be released this year for sure. Probably later in the year. So I'm going to be coming out with some videos on that. But if you have any questions about set 1 or anything like that, or want to get your hands on some cards, just let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.